welcome back. Thanks for clicking on that link. Now you get to see part 2 of the Rusty and Dusty Sideshow, where we put together the summer 25-26 Canucks roster. We're going to have a look at the Vancouver Canucks roster as it sits right now. So this is Puckpedia, which is great. It's actually very, very cool. We've got the entire Canucks roster on here. Let me actually get rid of this too. So what we're going to do is I've got all of the different players that are available to the Canucks. And if you can see from this forward lines, there's a lot of players. There is not enough space on this roster. So we're going to have to make some choices here. Same thing on defense too, right? We got on this right, on the right side, you're looking at 5 players and there's only 3 spots for a right side D, right? And then we've also got the 3 goaltenders. So we got a lot to talk about as we go through this. So as we're going through this, you guys, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or things you want to talk about, throw it in chat. We'll keep our eyes on chat as we go. We'll see if you guys are agreeing with what we're doing, disagreeing, and then we'll go from there. So, Dustin, I'll let you do the honors. Let's start things off with the 1C. Who's the 1C for the Vancouver Canucks to start next season?
You gotta go with EP40. I mean, he's going to be the guy you lean on now. To drive the offense. He's the highest paid player on the offense. It's going to be his job and his responsibility to push that line. There's obviously a lot of pressure on that, but that's what he's paid to do. So you got to put him in the role that he's paid to do.
Yeah, I completely agree with that one. And I mean, we've talked about this a little bit too, but I would love to see, and I think you'll probably agree with me on this one, is I'd love to see Brock Boeser get back on that wing with Petey. Because they have obviously had great chemistry over the years with their Lotto line. And Brock Boeser now with the new contract, he can just hang out with his buddy Petey and take some beautiful passes, get some good shots. And looks like he's having a great offseason too. Just got back from vacay with great tan with all the pressers he was doing after he signed his contract. So I think that's probably a good start for 2/3 of the top line. Now, this is where things get interesting because pairs are usually the easy part. Dustin, what are you thinking left wing for this top line for them? We got it all the way down. We got Kane, DeBrusk, Dakota Joshua, Hoglander, O'Connor, and Arshdeep Baines, as well. Linus Karlsson Linus Karlsson doesn't play left wing. He plays center right wing. It's Niels Ahmann who can also play left wing. So there's a whole bunch of different options. Connor Garland can play both sides. What are you thinking for the left wing on the top line?
I think you got to go with Hoglander. Off the top of the season, if you're going to put Boeser with Petey, you need someone going into the corners and getting the puck. And Hoglander's that guy. I've seen people put DeBrusk up there with Petey and Boeser, but you're just really putting the cart, or you're just making Petey's job that much harder. DeBrusk and Boeser are pretty much the same player from opposite sides of the wing, so. Neither one of them is really a play driver. They're a guy that relies on everyone else to kind of do the dirty work. DeBrusk is more of a garbage goal in front of the net type guy, and Boeser's the kind of hang out at the top of the circles, wait for a pass, and get that nice shot through. Pettersson being a playmaker, he'll have Boeser to pass the puck to for a good shot. But he's going to need a guy like Hoglander that's got the energy and the get up to get into the offensive zone and push that forecheck and get that puck free for Pettersson and Boeser to do what they need to do.
Big Hog's pretty stoked. He said Hog first line. That's all he said. He didn't say anything else. He's just stoked that you agreed with him. Calvin 99 Charlie saying Kane, PD, Boeser is my first line. I was leaning towards Evander Kane initially because I really think there's potential to have kind of like a Lotto line-esque feel to that, having Kane on that top line. Yep. But I think my problem with having Kane on the top line after thinking about it for a while would be he doesn't quite have the legs that he used to when he was younger. And I don't think he would be able to keep up with the rest of the line. Even though Brock Boeser's not the flightest of foot, I think the minutes that he'd be incurring on that top line would probably be a bit too much, especially if he's going to be used in any kind of a power play capacity. And Van Al Beauty saying PD, Garland, Boeser. So very similar. Like the Garland is very similar to that Hoglander vibe, so kind of interesting. You could do that too,
but I don't think you want to. You could, but I don't think you want to put two right-handed shots with Pettersson.
Right? Yeah. Kane, PD,
He,
Boeser for Box Van Gogh. So yeah, I mean that is option, and that's the thing is there are probably a bunch of different things you could do for that top line, which I think
yeah,
would be successful, and that's a good thing to have on a roster.
for sure. And for me, if I put Kane on, I'm not against Kane being on the top line. Um, just so everyone's clear with that. But if I'm putting Kane on the top line, I want to see Jonathan Lecker-Mackey up there driving the pace and pushing that line a little more and giving Kane the responsibility of kind of looking out for those guys. Or maybe Connor Garland up there with Pettersson and Kane, just because of the way that Kane plays. Him and Boeser and Pettersson, I just think that would be too much. Again, too much legwork for Pettersson. You're just going to chew up his legs way too fast in any game. He's going to be he's already the centerman. He already has to do most of the work. But when you put him with Kane and Boeser, then that just adds to it.
Okay, I'm gonna quickly pop a poll question in as we go. We can change things up as we go. Everything's fluid today. It's gonna be who's top line left wing, and the three ones we've had are Big Hog, Kane, and Garland. So I'll put that out in chat so you guys can discuss amongst yourselves, and then we'll have a look back at that. But as we are right now, let's have a look at the second line. So who is your second line center, Dustin?
Oh, I think starting the season, if he's healthy and comes in out of camp, you've got to give Filip Chytil a look. If they don't move him, they brought him in to be the second line center. You kind of got to give him that role, but Otto Ratu is going to push for that spot hard, I think, this year. He didn't really get to play in the Calder Cup playoffs. He played a bit of one game and then left with injury. But I think just seeing that energy and being around that energy is going to give him that juice when he comes into training camp to kind of push even harder. And so Chytil for now, but Ratu is going to be, I think, right there for me.
So second line left wing, I think I'm going to start with. And it's weird because it's kind of a similar discussion from the first one where I almost feel like it's going to be Kane or DeBrusk. And those two guys bring different things, right? So I think the Kane Chytil would be a good combo because obviously Kane is a rough and tumble guy. Chytil is very, very fast. So Kane can create space for Chytil too. But at the same time, Chytil can create space for DeBrusk with the speed, and DeBrusk is really good in and around the net too. And I debated back and forth on this, and I think I'm going to actually end up putting DeBrusk as that left wing. Are we in agreement on that between the two of us?
If you put DeBrusk on the left wing, you got to put physicality on the right wing. So that, for me, probably pushes Sherwood up to the second line next year.
Yeah. So you're thinking Sherwood on the second line there as the right wing?
Just if you're not going to put someone out there to protect Chytil because of, the issues with him, if things get too physical, you need some protection out there. I know a lot of people would probably put Connor Garland in that spot, but I just think that would be a risk of not enough physicality on that line. DeBrusk doesn't really mix it up physically. Chytil is not a physical player, and Garland does almost too much physically for his size. So again, you don't want to overload one guy with too much that he can't handle. Just the way Sherwood's game is made up, it would fit in better with that line kind of being that guy that makes that space for DeBrusk. He can chip it in front for DeBrusk's dirty goals, and he can also create the space with his physicality for Chytil, like you're talking about what Evander Kane would have done.
Yeah. So I'm really thinking for the third line center for this Canucks roster, I think I really want to see Ratu get that spot. And I mean, barring any kind of setback in his recovery from his injury that he incurred during the season last year, I think he would have a really good chance of getting some really good minutes there. Obviously, really great in the face-off, can take it on both sides, and does have a physical presence, which he showed a little bit more down in the AHL, and obviously has some scoring touch as well because he was scoring pretty much a point a game for the most part to finish out the year. So as long as you're cool with that, we'll move Ratu there.
Yep. No, I agree. I would have put him there as well.
Yeah. So now here where things start to get interesting. Obviously still a logjam here. You got Kane, Dakota Joshua, Drew O'Connor, and Archie Baines, who can all play on the left wing. And then you got Sasson, Teddy Bluger, Niels Amen. We know that Sasson can play on the wing as well. And then we got Connor Garland, Jonathan Lekermack, the young guy, and Linus Carlson on the right side. What are you thinking for a winger? You can choose either one you want. Pick your choice, left or right.
I mean, I think this is, I really think for some reason, I just have this weird feeling that Evander Kane and Connor Garland are going to be a better dynamic duo than Joshua and Garland were. And I kind of think they would make good wingers for Ratu. I don't know why. It just, Ratu's not super fast, but he is a skilled player. He can be physical, but Garland has the forecheck. Kane has the physicality, and Ratu has the finish. And I just think that line could be a really productive third line, but at the same time would just grind down any other team. Ratu winning faceoffs like crazy, and Kane and Garland making the forecheck just miserable for anyone. I just think that has the makeups of a really high end third line.
Yeah, I think I agree with that completely. And at the end of the day, too, when it comes to injuries for Kane, it's something that has happened on a regular basis for him. He is 34 years old or whatever it is now. So, and that's the thing is this is a line is good. If Kane gets injured, then you can slot some of these other guys in that have a similar profile, like a Dakota Joshua or a Drew O'Connor, that have that physical presence. Maybe not as much of the offensive upside, but it's not like a major shift for putting a new face on that line. So I think I like that for the third line.
Yep.
So now it's getting really hard because obviously, like I said, log jam, right? And I think even before we get into constructing this fourth line, I think it's almost worth it just to look at this and say, okay, what do we think is going to end up happening? Because there obviously needs to be some kind of moves. Max Sasson, I believe, can be sent down to the AHL without waivers. Archie Baines, I believe, can still be sent down without having to clear waivers. And Jonathan Lekermack can be sent down without having to clear waivers. Linus Carlson cannot. If he gets sent down, I believe he has to go through waivers. And then Niels Amen, I think, is waiver exempt as well. So you're looking at three guys here: Teddy Bluger, Joshua, Drew O'Connor, and Carlson, who are not waiver exempt. And then the rest of these guys, the younger guys, are all waiver exempt. So something tells me Jonathan Lekermack, unless he has an incredible training camp, I feel like he's starting the season off down in the AHL.
I agree.
Archie Baines, probably the same thing. He might end up, you could probably see him and Sasson fighting for that 13th forward kind of a spot. But I don't think with the players that are currently on the roster, I don't think these are the two guys who are going to be on that fourth line, at least to start. Is it just by at this point default Teddy Bluger's the fourth line center?
I mean, until they cap dump, it's going to be Bluger because everyone else is probably going to go down. I mean, Oman's likely going to clear waivers.
Yeah.
When you send him down, Baines and Sasson and Lekermack are all waiver exempt, so they're going to go down no problem. Carlson's the wild card if he has a really good camp. But again, they need to make a move. And for me, I think, the Dakota Joshua, putting the emotional stuff aside, I just didn't see enough growth from him from start to finish over the year last year. And I just think he needs to probably be moved for like a mid-round pick or something, just to maybe weaponize it later at the trade deadline if you need it to sweeten a deal. Load up on some draft picks at this point. There are a couple teams out there that could use some bottom six wingers, and I think Joshua's kind of one that they could move. He's got a cap-friendly contract. He does have some upside, but he is pushing 30, and I think he's kind of met his ceiling where he's going to be at. And at this point, I think there's just younger guys that are ready to kind of take over the role he has.
There's just this little part of me, Dustin, that just thinks Dakota's going to have a huge bounce back year. And I mean, that is
That's
if
fair.
he has gotten
Absolutely.
over his, because it did come out after the season was over that he ended up essentially getting a really bad groin injury mid-season, which he played with, as most hockey players do play with. But hopefully he can spend the summer recovering from that, get some good training in, and obviously, if he's over the injuries, that would make him play better. So I almost feel like he's going to come in, and if he has a good camp, I feel like that last fourth line, left wing is for him. And at least to start, right? It's his job to lose, I think. And I think the Canucks will probably give him the benefit of the doubt, especially if he shows up in good shape for the training camp.
Yeah, I agree. And that'll probably just bump Drew O'Connor to the right side to start off the year.
Yeah. So that kind of, I think,
unless Carlson pushes hard for it. But I mean, this is kind of where I'm thinking it starts. If they do cap dump a couple of guys, then obviously Sasson and Baines get pushed up a little higher.
Yeah.
But for right now, I mean, I think we're both pretty much on the same page with how the opening night lineup should look for forwards.
So who is the top line left wing? Big Hog wins the poll. So on that, 38% of people voted to agree with us that Big Hog should be on the top line with Pettersson and
close vote though. Holy,
yeah, very close. The bottom two, Kane and Garland, both getting 31%. So division amongst the ranks, not a surprise, especially in the summertime. But if this forward line is healthy and good to go, I feel like this is a roster that makes the playoffs.
I do as well.
Yeah. Cool. So let's move on to the defense now, because we have them all set up just below here. And again, another log jam. We've got the defense and the goalies on the screen. We'll start on the defense though. Obviously, just picked up the new guy. Finally have a French guy. You always have to have a French guy, right? Like, I feel like when you don't have a French guy on your team, they're just, that's one thing I want to do. I want to go through, is there a Stanley Cup team that has won without a French player? Because I feel like every single team that's won the cup has got to have that French guy, right? So
I think so, yeah.
This one, I don't think we have to debate. Quinn Hughes starts on the third pair.
Yep, 100%. No, I thought he was our top line center, actually.
Yeah, okay, let's get Petey and move him down.
Get Petey out of there.
Yeah. No, this is I think out of the entire roster, that is the only thing that I think every single person, Canuck fan or not, would agree on, that the left defense top pair is going to be Quinn Hughes.
Yep, I agree.
Probably I would, and that when Quinn Hughes is healthy at this point, I'd say he's top 5 best player in the league.
Absolutely. I agree.
Now, it gets a little interesting when we talk about his D pair, and I'll give that to you because there is options, right? Because I don't want to deal with this. Classically, you go with the Hronek, right? The nice Czech guy. He had played well with Tyler Myers, and Tyler Myers in limited minutes with Quinn Hughes did have some success. You got the young guy, Victor Mancini, who could be an option as well, probably still a little raw for that position. And then Tom Willander, if you're completely out to lunch, you'd probably just throw him on the top pair right off the bat, even though he hasn't played any time in the NHL, but is a 20-year-old coming out of college, right? With, every time I watch a video on an expert talking about Tom Willander, they talk about how he's NHL ready and he's smooth and he's great and he's a right-handed shot. And that could be perfect for Quinn Hughes, but Dustin, like I said, I leave it to you. Who you choosing to play with Quinn Hughes?
I mean, barring any surprises out of camp, I think Adam Foote is going to stick with Philip Hronek with Quinn Hughes. We've tried to see Hronek drive his own pairing before. We haven't really found the right person to play with Hronek. Do I think him and Marcus Pettersson would work well together? Absolutely. But then it's the which one of the young guys is going to be able to step up into that spotlight and play with Quinn Hughes? Um, for me, it's more Mancini whose style would fit better with Quinn Hughes because yes, he can skate the puck, but it's not his number one priority.
Mhm.
He's a good bailout for Hughes when need be. But at the same time, he's more physical than Hronik and can kind of protect Quinn out there a little bit more than Hronik can.
Mhm.
Um, so just his makeup, I think, would suit better. But obviously, just for the start of the season, you go with Philip Hronik, and you just see what happens in the first kind of 10 games.
I had a love-hate relationship. I almost had a hate-hate relationship with Hronik. But no, I had a love-hate relationship with Hronik last year because I felt like there was times where he was absolutely incredible, and I thought like he was just the defensive liability out there a lot of the time too. Hopefully we can find something in between there. But I mean, obviously playing on a line with the best defense from the whole league is gonna make you seem a little better than you are. But either way, Phil Hronik seems to be a really good pair for Quinn Hughes, and they statistically are one of the most dominant defensive pairs in the entire NHL, and the numbers back it up. So I'm fine with putting Hronik there.
For sure. And for me, like it's really close. I'd really like to see Mancini with him. Just because I watched so much of Mancini in the last bit of the Abbey season and then the playoffs. I mean, he's not an AHL player anymore. He is definitely needs to be in the NHL. And he's going to push his way up that lineup very quickly if he gets the minutes.
Yeah. It's crazy how all of a sudden the right side of the Canucks D is such a long jam because you got obviously Tom Willander, who's now going to be joining the organization. And then, like we said, Victor Mancini, who is a man among boys through the Calder Cup playoffs. And then Derek Forbort as well. Actually, I have him on the wrong side. He's a left-handed defenseman. So that actually makes it easier. But I think I'm still going to stick for the second pair. I think Tyler Myers is a good spot there. 35 years old, but still seems to be in really, really good shape. Saw him on the prospects camp, giving some speeches out to the kids and giving them some advice. So a leader in the room, and was able to handle some elevated minutes. When we went through the extended stats that you want, but you don't really need, Tyler Myers was one of the highest minutes getting guy for the entire season for the Canucks. And I think he can still handle it, even though he's 35, he's got that big frame. So I think for me, Tyler Myers is your second line right D. Who would you pair up with Mr. Chaos Giraffe there, Mr. Dustin?
Oh, man. With the left D that we have, oh, man. You got to put one of the young guys with Pettersson. So I'm thinking you got to go Forbort.
Forbort with Tyler Myers?
With Myers. Yeah, but I think they're got to be third pairing.
Yeah.
I think you can push Myers down the lineup now because I think Mancini or Willander can both handle the second pairing. I just think Willander or Mancini could definitely handle that. But again, like when you get kind of those second and third pairings, when you got Quinn Hughes, they're kind of interchangeable these days. So I think Forbort and Myers makes sense as pairing number 2. I think you can leave them in the 2 slot or in the 3 slot, either one.
So you think
I'd like to see Myers push down the lineup.
So you're seeing Marcus Pettersson then as the second line lefty?
Yeah, second line lefty, and then it's gonna be one of the young guys. I think they start Mancini there. Give him a shot because of what he did in the AHL, and then let Willander play a couple months in the AHL at actual pro level hockey. Like, yeah, he's played the NCAA, and everyone says he's ready for the NHL, but just give him a little bit to marinate. It's great that they got him signed and everything to the entry level contract, and everyone wants to see him play. But that's the thing is, like, I need to see him play before I'm ready to commit to putting him in an NHL lineup. I've seen lots of highlights of the kid, and yeah, he looks great, but I haven't really seen many games start to finish of him playing. So I don't really know if what everyone is saying is true. I'd prefer to see him start in Abbotsford so we can get a look at what he's actually bringing to the table before I'm like, yeah, get him in the lineup.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure our French guy, unfortunately, I don't think we'll be playing for the Vancouver Canucks this year. I think he is going to be replacing Mr. Wolanin down in Abbotsford, because I don't think Wolanin's going to be back with the Abby Canucks next year, because he's getting older and they want to keep the spots open for young guys. But P.O. Joseph is still only 26 years old, so he's got 4 years younger than. But then if you're saying Willander then also plays down in the AHL, that means DPD is going to end up being our 7th defenseman.
Yep. And you know what? It might be interchangeable with POJ and DPD with that 7th spot.
Yeah.
Joseph is a little more NHL ready, if you will. He's played more games, but and he's also another Alvin pet project.
Yeah.
Former Penguin. I think he was acquired in the Kessel trade. When he's a Coyotes draft pick when they traded Kessel to Arizona. Oliver Joseph was one of the acquired prospects in Pittsburgh, and that was the Alvin Rutherford era. So obviously another known player to the GM, and so we'll see where he ends up, but maybe just doing him a favor and getting him a contract, because maybe he's destined just to be an AHL defenseman. But yeah, I think him and DPD obviously benefited from some injuries this year, but is young enough to probably spend one more year developing in the AHL. Had to play, obviously, given the situation we were in, but going into a season like this, you want to have your veterans out there, kind of keeping everything under control with the uncertainty in the dressing room and all that. Get the young guys kind of back to Abbotsford to settle out their development. That's kind of why I have Mancini up a little higher, just because he is 23. He has developed longer. He did play NHL games for New York as well before he even came over here. And just watching him play this off season, he's definitely ready for more responsibility.
I hate to say this, but I actually disagree with you on the defensive pairs. So we're going to have to do a poll question here. Do you agree with Dusty or Rusty for the D pairs? And I'll put the poll question up, and then I'll show you what I think I would change. Here we are. And then we'll put in Dusty, and Dusty's going Hughes, Hronek. I don't think I'm going to actually be able to put this in here, so I'm just going to do Dusty and Rusty and keep it on the screen. All right.
Yep.
I'll put the third option. They both wrong.
They both wrong.
Right. So the only thing I would probably change is I still really think, at least to start the year, you're probably going to see Tyler Myers on that second pair, and I think you're going to see this all year long.
Yep.
Right. The two young guys on the defensive pair with Derek Forbort, and then obviously, depending on the health of Derek Forbort, and obviously just his ability to keep up. He is 33 now, so a little bit longer in the tooth. So there is a chance that you might even end up seeing stuff like this, right? So you got DPD who can play both sides, right? So you might even see that for the odd game too, right? Where it's just, I think that's kind of what I'm thinking they're going to end up being. It's just going to be flip, 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 right? But it also depends, right? Because Marcus Pettersson and Tyler Myers, at times they looked amazing together, and there was other times that they looked like trash.
Yeah. I mean, they're both older guys. Myers, obviously, the oldest guy on the team now. So that's kind of where it's like I'd love to see his minutes limited in some way, because I think Myers performs better when his minutes are limited. And I think, I don't disagree. That's probably the option B I would go with. Absolutely. I don't know what Foot's going to do, but I mean, it's a hell of a problem to have, right? Like, remember before what it would be like going through defensemen and seeing who was going to be called up? It's like, oh, Yay! We get
Oh, Juleson's back in the lineup.
yeah, exactly. Like, oh man,
Currently,
it's a good problem to have.
50% of the people are voting that we're both wrong. So we may have to just completely alter this. But for now, we're gonna see what the people think while we go over to talk about the goaltenders, because how can you have a goaltender who is only 24 years old and already has 2 MVPs as a goaltender and let him walk away from your organization? But that might be what's happening with Artur Silovs, because there might not be space for him.
I mean, the writing was on the wall when they signed Demko to the long-term deal. But then again, yeah, I mean, you have Lankinen under contract with a no trade clause, and you extended Demko. So I mean, you basically told Shilovs, sorry, we're not gonna play you in the NHL. Like, what is he gonna wait 5 more years and you're gonna bring him up when he's 30? He's gonna go to another team. Like, if they try and move him through waivers, he's gonna get picked up for nothing. So, I mean, their best bet is to try and trade him while his value is the highest it's ever been. The unfortunate thing is they did that Demko extension before they got a trade done for Shilovs, which then devalued him because the Canucks are backed into a corner.
Because Canucks management is what it is, that means Dustin is saying it's going to be Demko and Lankinen as your first and second goaltender to start the year, probably, right?
Absolutely, unless you go to Lankinen and ask him to waive his no trade clause that just made him sign, but then you're also burning bridges with free agents and making it look like you don't give a shit as an organization. So it's just the business side of things that Alvin does that frustrate me a little bit. Granted, he does make some good decisions and has a good eye for prospects, but the order in which he does things to this day baffles me. The way he talks about some of his players in public makes me shake my head. I don't think it's the best way to motivate people. And I think he handcuffs himself and ends up having to give the excuses that the deals weren't there, because I think he overplays his hand a little bit, overvalues our players, and also puts himself in situations where people know he has to make certain moves. So at the end of the day, you might have to just take it on the chin and take a mid-level pick for somebody, like a Joshua or a Bluger, and just do the business and dump the cap space, because you have some young guys that you want to feel like they are included in the organization. You want to feel like the organization wants them. You drafted them for a reason. You traded for them for a reason, that young. But then to make business moves that basically backhandedly tell them, sorry, not a spot for you, see you later, is just kind of callous and careless. And I think it's going to lead to a few issues in the near future for Alvin, where he's going to have to take some bad trades just to get out of a bit of a mess here.
Sounds like Dustin sending his steak back to the chef.
Too much salt.
We got all the non-roster players down here, a bunch of them, so these guys all don't count. But it is interesting to see the Canucks do have 4 goaltenders already signed, along with the goaltender they just drafted, who they've also already signed to his ELC. So the Canucks currently have 8 goalies signed in their system.
However, I will say that these are some of the good business decisions that Alvin makes. Signing those entry-level contracts and making sure that these guys don't go into the new NCAA and get money there, and then are committed to the NCAA, and you have to wait till their commitment to them is over before they can even come back to you. This is a very smart play, and I'm happy that they will. I mean, it tells you that Coots is either going to be in the WHL or the NHL. Those are the only 2 spots for him. So he's going back to junior to continue his development. Then when he's old enough in 2027, if he's not making the Canucks team, he will be going to the Abbotsford Canucks team, and then he will sign his next contract after that. But, and the same goes for Alexei Medvedev.
Mhm.
That's just good business. All signs kind of point to him being the starter in London this year.
Mhm.
So hopefully that's a good decision for his development. And the Gavin McKenna signing the $700K deal to go play for Penn State changes everything,
Mhm.
right? So it absolutely forces the NHL to kind of move forward with their very top prospects and decide where they want them to develop and how they want them to develop. And it also changes everything for the CHL. And I think in the long run, it's going to basically create a balance in the sense of, 16 to 18-year-olds are going to play more in the CHL, and 18, 19, 20-year-olds are going to go play in the NCAA. And then when they're done after 20, that's when they'll go into their NHL stuff. That's just kind of where I see the future going with that new business of them being able to pay players to come play.
Well, Dustin, you'd be happy to know also that everyone agrees with you. At least 50% of this chat agrees with you. 37% are saying we're both wrong, and 12% agree with me. So thank you to the 12% who actually agree with me. So we're going to demote Tyler Myers to the third defensive pair, and we're going to move Victor Mancini back up. We're going to have Elias Pettersson as the seventh defenseman. So as we look at it now, this is what we are determining is the Canucks starting roster for the 25-26 season. Top line of EP40, Hoglander, and Brock Boeser. Jake DeBrusk, Hedl at center with Kiefer Sherwood on the wing. Evander Kane coming in on the third line with Ratu and Garland. And the Dakota Joshua, Teddy Bluger, and Drew O'Connor on the fourth line with Linus Karlsson as your 13th forward, with all these players going down to the AHL for more seasoning. And then the defensive pairs come in with Quinn Hughes, Hronek, Pettersson of the Dragon variety, and Mancini with Derek Forbert, Tyler Myers, and DPD as your seventh defenseman, with Thatcher Demko and Kevin Lankinen as your two goaltenders, and then both Tom Willander and P.O. Joseph ending up in the AHL. And Shelovs, who knows? They might even try and sneak him down to the AHL. It might be possible, because who knows if Patera is going to just vanish again. So they might need that third goaltender down in the AHL. But yeah, as far as we're concerned, this is what, as of right now, the roster is going to look like moving into the new season.
I don't hate it.
No.
I've seen worse rosters in the NHL, to be honest.
So before we go off of this, I just want to ask, what you said there's three things that need to go right for the Canucks on this roster. Oh, can you point out, using this chart, what the three things are?
Obviously, PD needs to bounce back, for sure. Like, that has to go right. Like, he has to stay healthy and come into camp. And I mean, if that doesn't happen, then things are going to go sideways in a hurry. Number two is you need Demko to stay healthy, because you're likely going to lose Shelovs and not have the same type of insulation. You're going to have Tolopilo coming back and forth, not Shelovs anymore, if you run into an injury issue. So that's the second thing, because I don't see Shelovs being a Vancouver Canuck or a Canuck in any capacity in the 2025-2026 season. I just can't see it happening. So that's number two. And then number three, obviously, is Quinn Hughes has to stay healthy. If Quinn Hughes gets a long-term injury, that pretty much puts a wrap on most things.
Yeah.
So those are the three things that absolutely have to go right for the Canucks. Quinn Hughes can miss 5 to 10 games in the season if he gets banged up here or there, but a long-term injury to Quinn Hughes would be catastrophic, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the absolute three key points. And I know they seem obvious, but those are the biggest ones for me. There's many other things that have to go right, like all that sort of stuff. But those are the three big ones for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If those three happen, those three things go right, the Canucks are in the playoffs.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. Even when we're looking at these guys that are going to be down in the A, there are some talent here that can come up, fill up in the bottom six. So I'd say like a 3.5 The other thing that maybe like half has to go right is we can't have any devastating injuries to our top six, because I think if we lose PD again, even if we lose Hoglander, Boeser, who, you know, all these guys all had injuries last year. Jake DeBrusk is one of the only players who played pretty much the whole season. I feel like we got a lot of content that can fill in on the bottom 3 and 4th line. But I don't know if we have as much that can move up to the top pairs. Maybe Lekkerimäki can fill in Lekkerimäki Karlsson, but each one of these players is probably going to be a downgrade on a Brock Boeser on that top line. Yeah. So there it is. There's Mr. Tolopilo, and Patera, just to confirm, he is on the roster. You kind of get an idea too of what you might look at for the Abby Canucks. So if we even just grab PO from up here and move him down to the pairs down here, you probably have a good idea of what it's going to look like for the defensive pairs down in Abbotsford. Goaltending is going to be a logjam. So like we said, they got to figure that out. And then if we move the guys down from up here, the Baines, Sasson, Lekkerimäki, and Amon, that pretty much fills out the Abby Canucks roster down here as well.
Nothing is perfect.